What would you say to those business owners and families who are struggling across America? What's the timeline on all this?
Well, as I say, we should have done this back in July and August. There's $138 billion that we've already appropriated for the Paycheck Protection Program that could help our restaurants, our hotels, our small businesses that are still struggling and struggling even greater than they were in late summer because of the renewed shutdowns by some of our governors around the country trying to continue to fight COVID-19. I would say call Speaker Pelosi's office and tell her to allow the discharge petition on the Paycheck Protection Program to go to the House floor for a vote next week.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on religious freedom amid COVID-19, as well as just our freedoms in general. A lot of people are really concerned with this new round of restrictions mandated by lawmakers in different states. We're seeing things that kind of just don't make sense. The rules are really arbitrary. For example, like the 10 p.m. curfew, people are wondering, like, where's the science on that? Does COVID, does it start spreading right at 10:01? What is with all that?
Apparently, it doesn't spread in Walmart or Home Depot either. It spreads only in faith communities and restaurants. Look, this is a serious issue. Our liberties for freedom of expression and freedom of religion are protected by our First Amendment. And I think the point should be our governors should not be more restrictive on our faith communities than they are on secular activity. And both the governor in Kentucky and the governor in Kansas both have been reprimanded by the federal courts by proposing more strict restrictions on faith than in other activities in life. And that's not right. And I appreciate Donald Trump's executive order back in May demonstrating the importance of the freedom of religious expression in our country, even in the face of a pandemic.
Yeah. And a lot of people are wondering what they should do for Thanksgiving. Many people are staying home. Others are rolling the dice and taking a chance when it comes to the spread of COVID-19. For a lot of people, they say it's more important for me to see my family this year than to continue waiting. As most Americans say, you know, we've waited for the flattening of the curve. Now, so many months later, we're still kind of on lockdown. I want to see my family. What's your advice or recommendation for those who want to get together with their families on Thanksgiving?
Well, my advice is follow the CDC standards. Take those seriously, particularly when you have family members that have comorbidities or older. Perhaps those are folks that we should be taking particular care of. And so that idea of a socially distant Thanksgiving, wearing masks, making sure people are careful about the food service, those are just important common sense issues, particularly, as I say, for our older family members that have a comorbidity or of the age that you've seen have more risk from COVID-19. Let's use common sense, but let's love our families and be careful.
Yeah. And how optimistic are you about the news of the COVID-19 vaccines, including from Pfizer, who was part of Operation Warp Speed? We hear a conversation among Americans who say, some 30% of Americans at least say that they're afraid to take the vaccine or won't take it. Other Americans are wondering how effective it will be. And then we have some Democratic lawmakers and talking heads that say that, you know, they wouldn't take it because of President Trump when he's not the one in a lab creating the vaccines. There are experts and scientists and people behind that. So how optimistic are you?
Stephanie, I'm very optimistic. Operation Warp Speed was amazing. Since we got the genetic information about the disease in January, we're going to have viable vaccine alternatives available to protect the public by the end of that year, less than a year later. And Moderna and Pfizer are just the first two that may well get FDA approval. They're in final clinical trials, final human tests, and pilot programs around the country. In one case, you're at 95% effectiveness, and the other 90% effective. There's going to be additional vaccines and additional therapeutics. So in my view, Operation Warp Speed has been a terrific success, and I commend the administration for initiating it. And I thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for coming together in the CARES Act and appropriating the $10 billion that allows us to partner with those companies for speedy delivery of this vaccine, not only for the United States, but for around the world.